locate really in the liberalization of South-South trade. We have run some simulations in our perspectives on global development last year, which suggest that were southern countries to reduce their tariffs on southern trade to the level supplied between northern countries, they would secure a welfare gain of $59 billion. This is almost worth twice as much as a similar reduction in tariffs on their trade with the North. So the real beef is in the non-tariff, mostly non-tariff barriers between least developed countries, especially in the regional context. And I think I stop here with my 6 commandments.
Thank you very much, and that really is the distilled wisdom of seeing a global picture and analyzing it and having the benefit of making that analysis on a wide cross-country basis. So clear lessons being offered there, practical lessons, in fact touching on some of the insights coming from the other speakers, but in a very, very practical way. Colleagues, we are at the end of the presentations. I would very much like it if we can have an opportunity for some questions to the panel members, if there are any. I think we, if I'm not mistaken, are we out of time, or are we pretty much out of time? We're out of time. So let me then use a brief opportunity to summarize some of the key points that I think came out of the variety of presentations, where there are some common threads, and then if there are questions after that, then we'll take them. I found a number of revealing insights here, and let me just mention some of them. The one is the concept of the orientation of partnerships, and we heard Dr. Sahin talk about the mentality of partnerships. We heard Dr. Katima talk about different cultures, but always there was the need for a common denominator, which is let's focus on maximizing the benefits of partnerships, whether it's at a regional level, whether it's at the level of a national agency developing their partnership, and set aside certain types of differences in favor of a specific targeted set of objectives. And that seems to underline the whole concept of partnerships going forward. Identify the common gains and then work towards them. A second set of cluster of issues was the issue of aid and donor coordination. And I think there were many, many very valuable comments coming in. Dr. Sahin reflected on the need for rationalization of DAC and non-DAC coordination. There were comments about the importance of, from George Mavrotas, about knowing more about aid effectiveness, getting better analysis of the effectiveness of aid, targeting better, identifying much better and understand much better aspects of aid effectiveness, volatility, predictability, fiscal response issues was mentioned. Also important in this cluster of issues, much greater need for understanding better the interaction between aid and other and foreign direct investment and other flows. A third set of issues that came forward, I think, collectively was the concept of third-party and triangular cooperation. And I think Dr. Mavrotas raised this issue. Dr. Sahin, I think it was Dr. Sahin raised the issue of the importance of having triangular partnerships, UNDP, North, South, and South cooperation. I think this seems to be an emerging and continuously growing theme. The value of triangular partnerships seems to be quite in evidence. And in some sense also seems there's an underlying tone that if there is an immediate clash between the traditional and non-traditional donors, this is actually a method of easing that clash and getting the best of all possible worlds through a triangular cooperation framework. A fourth framework of issues was, although briefly alluded to, the issue of the environment for investors. the importance that the concept that ODA in a partnership, ODA is not a panacea, the importance of having integrity in national management of national resources, and then, of course, in the management of aid resources. This was alluded to in various ways by Dr. Mavrotas and Mustafa Sahin as well. Then a very important block of insights came through during the discussion on the extraordinary benefits of economic cooperation at a regional level. And I think we had a tremendous presentation by Dr. Sushant Katima on this, noting that size matters if it's pooled. If the GMS is pooled, it becomes Western Europe. It's supported by Helmut Reisen's observation that if you're going to take size into account, unite with your size. I think it's the same concept, and the observation that when uniting, in many cases at a South-South level, there are tangible benefits from that uniting, in the case of Southern African trade as an illustration. The benefits of bringing coastal and landlocked southern countries together through a regional cooperation framework, the benefits of sharing capital and labor more effectively, this all came out in this very powerful presentation, I thought. The benefits of having a clear strategy for locational issues, for opening up of trade and investment, the concept of liberalizing among yourselves, very valuable insights about the ways to pursue regional cooperation. The insights regarding connectivity in infrastructure and elsewhere, competitiveness. The corridor concept came forward, and I thought that was a very valuable set of insights. It came only in one presentation, but I think it applies really across the board with the South-South cooperation, the benefits in the regional economic cooperation framework of that. Then, of course, the issue of speed, that if you do this well, you can get very quick gains. The sixth area seemed to be some references to the importance of changing the structure of production. So partnerships can help, but embedded in that is an understanding that the production structure in countries and regions are probably going to have to change, and to strategize about how that will happen. I think Dr. Katima's presentation raised this, and also a number of presenters pointed in some sense to the dependency issues that come when you change the structure of production and the challenges that this may bring. In other words, it's not a one-way street. There are challenges as you progress. The seventh set of issues I felt came out very, very valuably was the integration of regional trade and investment. Excellency Sorasak Pan raised this issue, the importance of strategizing the potential export sectors, the importance of identifying actively diversification opportunities when we are building regional partnerships, and identifying how to use regional partnerships to scale up value chains. That came out quite clearly, and the importance, I think, of business linkages in that whole framework. Then there was the theme of South-South experience sharing, the sharing of experience. This picks up on a theme raised earlier today, the issue of sharing of knowledge. I think it was in the context of G20's ninth pillar. But it's very much in the same vein. We learn from development experience, and then we try to share that knowledge in proactive and meaningful ways. And that came through from Excellency Sorasak Pan's presentation. The mechanisms for sharing experience, the modalities of exchanging experience with other countries, the use of frameworks, the EIA framework, and other tools such as study tours and other mechanisms for that. Nearly at the end, one other major set of things that came through the presentation by many, many presenters, I think, the mechanics of working and the challenges of working with new development partners. The fact that in many cases there are multiple partners and there are these challenges very clearly observed, of course, in the negotiation dialogue that's taking place in the last couple of days, how to manage those different modes of development partnership. Very useful and valuable insights from Helmut Reisen, from Sorasak Pan, the issue of the experience in dealing with new donors. In other words, it's an entirely new experience. It's as a recipient of resources. the need to relearn was a phrase that was quite important embedded in this. And then finally, I think two last thematic issues. The importance of the role of finance, which was raised very strongly by George Mavrotas. How do we promote growth through financial development? And the nexus between finance and growth in building partnerships. Very, very crucial. Links closely to the aid and FDI nexus, the need for country studies and so on. And then finally, I think the careful analysis of these dual forms of partnerships and the six dictates, I forget the term you used, commandments, the 6 commandments. The observations, the distilled wisdom that comes from the analytical framework on the development of different types of partnerships. This really does reveal insights which warrant research, further analysis, and integration into the development of the partnership frameworks themselves. So I'm sorry I've taken so long. Many, many important and interesting themes coming out of this quite diverse set of discussions on partnerships. Having droned on for so long, are there any questions? Let's take 1 or 2 and then I think we must break. In fact, Isis, please.
Thank you, Chair. I will take long, but this is a question which comes around from time to time. Anybody who does research on the emerging relationship between the least developed countries and the new southern or the emerging economies. We all understand that the relationship is being scaled up automatically or sometimes state-driven, sometimes market-driven, and it is happening in all the areas. Non-DAC aid donors coming in and the trading happening, technology transfer, purchase of land for agriculture, and various kinds of things are happening. Now, I take up only one sector area to illustrate the point. The question which always haunts us is that, is this relationship, by its very nature, qualitatively different from the traditional North-South relationship? I think this is the classical question which haunts us always. And we hear various kinds of things, apart from the declarative intentions, but in terms of practice, what actually happens and etc. is quite a mixed picture. Now, one particular area illustration I just want to bring to the attention of the colleagues and ask the panel whether they have any solution for that. You see, 2 years back, the total, if you look at the structure of exports from the LDCs, it has moved the 50% mark from the developed markets to the developing economies. And we have also seen that most of it is primary commodities. So it is a classical commodity-intensive trade structure which we are seeing. Similar thing is happening also in case of investment. If you look at the African investments, you will see it's essentially concentrated in the extractive industries. So here again we have the problem of productive capacity development and diversification. So the question to the panel is, do we have a magic bullet? What is the policy instrument which a southern country is going to use to improve the quality of the trade relationship or investment relationship and support the productive capacity building efforts which we are all talking about in the LDCs? Thank you.
It's an excellent question. Is there a magic